I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, November the 21st, where it's Thanksgiving break and time to count our blessings. And we'll start at the top. If you guys wouldn't be watching, if you're not or interested and love this agriculture sector, and we all seem to form our niche in it somewhere, in particular the cattle business. And I think we would all agree, of all the different sectors of agriculture, your cattle business, especially of your animal agriculture, gives you the most freedom, the most individualistic way of life, and we all seem to enjoy filling our spot somewhere within it. And I know I enjoy looking at the markets every day and telling you guys what's going on, or to the best of my ability. And there's several of you that watch, and I appreciate every one of you. We got a lot of blessings to count. We live in this great country, by far the greatest in the world. All these natural resources, and we're turning them into a lot of good and doing a lot better, more efficient job of it than most places. We want to count our blessings that 2 years ago there was just a few more of us than there was of them, and in the last 2 years we've taken back a whole lot more of normalcy, the way most of us see it, and a lot more common sense, getting rid of a lot of regulation, and just things are looking up pretty good. But there hasn't been a whole lot go on in the cattle business so far this week, and it's going to get even slower. So this is going to be our last visit. We'll give you some kind of a weekly summary sometime this weekend before Monday, but not a whole lot going to be going on, guys. But look at the board. On Tuesday, December live cattle futures down 45 cents to end the day at 115.70. February down 27 to end the day at 119.72, and not really a downer market. It's just the way you normally go into a holiday where everything's shut down. It's just kind of a doldrum, and we had some gains earlier in the week, and so it's not too awful bad. January feeder cattle down 40 cents, ending the day at 146.87, and March down just 17 cents at 144.15. Hasn't been hardly any fat cattle trade to speak of, which is a good thing, because we know that these packers still need cattle. We didn't have a huge movement last week. They're wanting to have some huge harvest figures after Thanksgiving and before Christmas. So they got a couple of weeks in there to really make hay when they don't have holiday interruptions, and they're going to be wanting all the cattle they can get their hands on to really bolster up their meat cases and their coolers, and get ready for this demand that we'll have coming for Christmas time and New Year's, and just to kind of keep their supplies up, keep their inventories going. But haven't seen anything really to speak of on fats. I know we talked about some rumors earlier in the week, but evidently those weren't true, because we haven't seen anything come to fruit. And I think we will see a few cattle trade sometime on Friday, and they should be at least steady, and if not gain a buck or two. But let's look at our cattle on feed report that will be coming out here on Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And we don't really know what it's going to go one way or the other, but we know what the expectations are. November 1st inventories, the average of the analysts guess are at 104.3. So there'll be more cattle on feed than there was a year ago. And I think to a certain extent we have to just assume that's going to be the case while we're still making these heavy cattle. And a lot of these cattle are on feed and been on feed ever since late in the summer. They were the big yearlings, the big good doing kind that'll gain 5 pounds a day. And I know they're gaining a lot of weight, but we're holding those cattle, making them bigger. They're on feed longer, and they're going to show up in the numbers. Our placements, and October is the largest placement month of the year, because you have those yearling cattle that are still coming early in October. Then when they get later into October, we get the giant calves, and a lot of those really don't have any other place to go but on to feed. And so the big placement, but our placement figure is only 101. So not a whole lot bigger than last year, and we don't know that it's going to come out that way. Marketings are huge, 104.2. That's just kind of the way the days come out there, but good healthy marketings on there. I saw something this week that I thought was kind of interesting. I don't know that it's really a bad deal, but just shows what kind of a global market we're in here in our beef business and our food business. You know, we've talked in the past, half of our major beef packers are now owned by foreign interests. And like I said, I don't know that that's a bad deal. It couldn't have got a whole lot worse than what it was before. And it opens our products up to some other holes in the world that we may not have been able to get that product into. So that's good. We're getting rid of it. We're using it up. Now we've got a third of our major regional packers are also owned by foreign interests, but there again, it's helping our exports on some of that. But then I noticed this week on our National Beef Wire news screen there that Schwan's, and if you guys lived in the country like I have, you've used Schwan's foods before. The Schwan's delivery truck drivers kind of get to be your friends, and it's kind of like the milkman used to be years ago, because they do come out to rural areas, they come in town too, but and the food is delicious. They have outstanding food and a lot to choose from there. Some of it seems kind of pricey, but then if you put a pencil to it, maybe it's not so bad, but good food and a lot of it, and they do have a lot of meat and beef products there. But 80% of Schwan's food service is now owned by South Korean interests. And I just thought that was kind of an eye-opener there, and maybe you guys do too. Well, let's look at your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on Cattle Market Central late on Tuesday, sitting at 144.37, down just 31 cents. And like I said, just not a whole lot going on. A lot of your big sales were closed. OKC West and El Reno was completely closed. They didn't even have their calf sale on Tuesday, and definitely going to have their yearling sale closed. And you think, how can they stand to be closed like that? Well, you know, they're sitting right in the middle of the week. You don't get too many holidays in the middle of the week like that. A lot of our high volume Monday sales are all the time getting forced was shutting down there because of so many early week holidays there. But that's the way they're going to do it, and they'll pick right back up next week, and they've got a lot of cattle yet to sell, and they are the biggest sale barn in the United States, and then they set our market pretty well. But the few sales that we did have around, Philip, South Dakota, can't hardly call him Philip the Giant this week because they only had about 2,300 head there, but that's still a pretty decent sale just a couple of days before Thanksgiving. And the reason that it's hard to have sales on a week like this is, sure, everybody still wants to buy cattle on a Tuesday or maybe even a Wednesday too, but those cattle have to be processed whenever you send them where they're going. Well, the men and women that process those cattle, they want to have Thanksgiving too. So somebody has to set those pens, get them ready for new cattle. Almost all your cattle will go through the chute. I don't care if they've had every shot in the book and 10,000 affidavits proving it. You're still going to have most all your cattle go through a chute on arrival to where they're going, just to make dang sure that they've got everything that the new owner wants them to have. But so it's just hard to have a big sale whenever you got a major holiday coming up in just a day or two. But Philip, South Dakota, it was higher there. One reason it was higher is because there wasn't so many of them. They've been having huge swarms of calves every week here for all fall. But this week they had a much lighter run, and we've talked about finding a little bit of footing on this calf market. Your 5-weight steer calves, according to Cattle Market Central, showed that the prices on your 5-weight steer calves $8 to $10 higher. And I know there hasn't been as many of them as there has been in some of the weeks past, but still pretty dang good. You look at the average on your 5-weight steers, 402 head of them, average 541 pounds at 172.32, and that's just a lot higher than what it was around last week. 6-weight steers, buck or two higher on the average on them too. Not quite 500 head of them, average 644, 158.56. Now I've got to talk about the biggest sale that went on middle of the week this week is Green City Livestock Market. Green City, Missouri. I've been there many times, went to that special sale many times. They are not a part of Cattle Market Central. They kind of sit up there in the green hills all to themselves. The guys that know what they have to offer there, they know where it's at, they know where to find them, but you don't see them too easily to find if you're a long ways from there as far as on the internet or things like that. But they have some of the best cattle in the world right there in north central Missouri in the green hills there, and they background them. They know how to do it right. They have a little change of ownership from time to time, but as long as Steve Evans, longtime manager, is there and has those backgrounders and producers around there kind of taking tutelage from him, they're always going to have a lot of good cattle there. They offer cattle in load lots primarily, and if you've been into any of their big specials, it's easy to say how impressive they are. They just have load after load after load after load and don't have a whole lot of odds whenever they have those big specials. But big yearling special on Wednesday, and then they will have their calf special on Friday. So they haven't got to enjoy their Thanksgiving holiday there for a long time, the people that's been working around there for many years, but that's the way they've always done it. And with not many other sales going on, it's enough to really turn things on their ear. But like I said, not included in Cattle Market Central. I wish that they were. They could be very easily, but they just don't branch out into a lot of things like that. But 2,100 head at the yearling special on Tuesday there, and just basically all true yearlings, backgrounded yearlings, and those guys have had ice water running through their veins holding those cattle, watching this market get weaker. But you know, on those true hard yearling cattle that'll do it all, the market really hasn't got that much cheaper on those kind. You look at how many 8-weight cattle there. They had over nearly 725 head of 8-weight true yearling steers offered in load lots. You don't see that very often, but 723 of those, the top quality ones, averaged 854 pounds at 157.71. Wow. And then the cattle that run just a little over the 900-pound deal, 242 head of them weighed just from 9 to 9 1/4. I tell you what, they keep them right in there where everybody wants them. They averaged 912 pounds, and they had a weighted average price of 157. So, and when you got the goods, they're in the right spot and they know how to market them, it's pretty impressive. But you guys have a great Thanksgiving. I know everybody preaches that you have to eat beef during Thanksgiving. I enjoy beef every day of the year, but I do think that there's something to be said for having turkey one day a year, just so you can remember how dry that white meat turkey it is. And if you guys are like me, it gets hung up in my throat. I do like the turkey gravy on my mashed potatoes, but you got to have it one day a year just to remind you why you eat steaks, hamburgers, and all your other beef products the rest of the year. But that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.